Let's turn our attention to boxing, shall we? Apparently, Eddie Hearn has told reporters that there's a possibility Anthony Joshua could fight on the same card as Chris Eubank Jr against Conor Benn on December the 23rd, if, of course, that fight gets made as well. There's only one man who can tell us whether or not that's happening, and that is Eddie himself. Let's say hello to the Matchroom chairman. Welcome to Drive, Eddie Hearn. How are you, Eddie?
I'm good, Costa. I do say a lot of things, really, and I just literally mentioned this about an hour ago at a press conference. It's gone mad. Everyone's phoning me up. What's happening? What's going on with this show? But yeah, I mean, anything's possible at the moment.
Okay, well, thanks for coming on. Have a nice evening.
Cheers, then.
Okay, what is the latest on that then? Why did you say it? Put it in context for us, would you, Ed?
So what I said is that our absolute priority at the moment is to fight Deontay Wilder. And we had an offer from Saudi Arabia to fight Deontay Wilder. We accepted it. Wilder accepted it, but it didn't materialise. So now we're looking at other venues for that potential fight. And in the meantime, I said, if that fight doesn't happen till March, we may fight in December. And they said to me, well, when could you fight? I said, there has been talks about a big double header with AJ and Conor Benn against Chris Eubank. But we shall see. That the absolute priority remains the Deontay Wilder fight. And we're all out to make that fight. And he wants to stay busy. He's training now. He's looking at a potential December fight. But if the Wilder fight's not going to happen till spring, he may run out in December as well.
Eddie, when you speak about, you said about the Deontay Wilder fight, and that's the one you're trying to make, and you said it doesn't materialise. What does that mean? How come that fight hasn't happened?
Well, because we were let down, really. I mean, like I said, we had an offer from Skills Challenge Entertainment in Saudi Arabia. We accepted that offer. Deontay Wilder accepted his offer as well. But unfortunately, there was a change in sort of governing power, if you like, of boxing in Saudi Arabia. And that entity is no longer doing its promotions in boxing. So talks continue to see if that fight can happen in Saudi, but we lost a lot of momentum. So now we're talking at other sites, but also away from site fees, and Las Vegas and Wembley are also in the running. We appreciate it doesn't generate the same kind of money, but it still generates a huge amount of money. I mean, I think arguably a bigger fight than Fury Usyk, if not right up alongside it. And it's a fight that can generate huge numbers in Vegas or Wembley. So I think more importantly, those guys want to make the fight. We've seen the rumblings about Fury Usyk, and I think both Wilder and AJ look at that and say, well, if that fight's happening, we should make sure ours does as well. So I really believe you'll see it. But we got a little bit sidetracked by, unfortunately, promises that this time materialised in the past, but not in the future.
Let me ask you, you mentioned the Fury Usyk fight. Gareth A. Davis, of course, you're well aware of, as we all are. I'm just finding out. Oh, here you go. Tweeted just before 6 o'clock today. He said, I'm hearing from multiple sources that Fury Usyk is being driven with very strong ambition to take place on December the 23rd in Saudi Arabia. If that fight is announced for December the 23rd, does that mean yours won't be that date?
Yeah, I think, look, they're both huge fights. Ben Eubank, and especially if AJ sits alongside it as main event or whatever it's going to be, then it's a huge night. We don't really want to clash with Fury Usyk. I don't think they'd want to clash with us, but that has always been our proposed date. And it depends how long they wait, really, because we're quite close to finalising Ben Eubank. I think that's a fight that could be done within the next week. And They're talking about that fight not being announced, Fury Usyk, till after Fury and Ngannou, which is October 29th. So we probably wouldn't wait that long, but it's difficult because obviously I'm sure at that point there'll be conversations between various parties to say, look, what are you doing? What date are you actually going on? Because it wouldn't make sense for either fight to clash. But for a long time now, December 23 has been our date for Ben Eubank, and we're all out to make that fight.
Tell me a bit more about that then. Where are you? Mentioned that you're possibly a week away. When you're that close to getting a deal signed, is it more often likely to happen than not?
Yeah, I think both guys, understand and appreciate it's the biggest fight for them by a mile. With the history, the controversy, the legacy, the family names. It's a monster fight for British boxing. And, we've had offers to stage that fight internationally. I spoke to Robert Smith of the British Boxing Board this week, and we are talking to them. We feel that because Conor won his case, and, we've been around it a million times, and he's not currently suspended, legally he's allowed to fight in the UK. But the board would have to be happy if they will proceed on that basis. The fight will take place in the UK. If they won't, he's still not suspended internationally anywhere or in the UK and can fight wherever he wants, as he did just fight in Orlando the other week. So I just want to, I said the other day in an interview, you've got Obviously, Fury against Usyk in Saudi Arabia, AJ against Wilder, could be in Vegas. It would be good to stage some mega fights in Britain, but we understand as well this is a complicated situation. If that fight gets the go-ahead in the UK, I think it would be signed within 24, 48 hours. It's just, if we're doing it internationally, it could take us a week to get it over the line, but I'm confident it will happen.
Eddie, do you think Conor Benn's ready for this fight? And when I say that, it's because he's obviously spent a lot of time out the ring. He did fight a couple of weekends ago. Chris Eubank Jr.'s had 2 tough fights, obviously, with Liam Smith. Do you think the next fight for Conor Benn should be this one? And do you think that gives him the best chance to win this fight?
Yeah, I think I'm so glad that he boxed the other week because, he said, I'm ready to go straight into a big one. He's had 18 months of turmoil out the ring, mentally, emotionally, and it was a good fight for him. 10 rounds in the bag against a much bigger opponent, as Eubank will be as well. So he feels that, he can stop Eubank in the first half of the fight. I think he can as well. It's a big jump in weight, but, you've seen Liam Smith stop Eubank, and I believe Conor Benn punches much harder than Liam Smith and with more ferocity as well. So it's a big ask. It's a big fight. It's a generational fight, between the two sons, but now with the history. And last time around, it was the fastest selling event in the history of the O2. But this time, you've got everything that's happened in between it. And, there's a little bit of certain animosity and hatred between the two now that makes the fight even bigger. So I think for both guys, this is the fight. For Chris Eubank, it might be the end of the road. And for Conor Benn, it might be moving to 147 and fighting for a world title after this fight. But they both want it badly, and I think it's bound to happen.
Let me ask you, there's lots of if, buts and maybes in Eubank
Always.
against Conor Benn, then yeah, of course, then Joshua against Wilder and so on. What every boxing fan wants to see, of course, is the winner of Joshua Wilder against the winner of Usyk Tyson Fury. How realistic, how difficult is that to make a fight when you, in theory, got 2 semi-finals going on? How easy or difficult would that be to build up?
Because if Fury beats, if Fury beats Usyk and Wilder beats AJ, you don't really want to see Fury against Wilder for the 4th time.
No.
And if Usyk wins and AJ wins, you don't really want to see AJ Usyk for the 3rd time. What we obviously need is AJ against Fury. In fact, win, lose or draw, we still need that fight. I understand if you listen to what Bob Arum actually says, it sounds like there's a 2-way rematch clause in Fury Usyk, which is a bit disappointing because certainly the Fury fight is one that AJ, in our minds, and we're Team AJ, so we think he's invincible, obviously, because we're fanboys, we're friends, we're everything. But we're looking at it and say, knock out Deontay Wilder and then fight Tyson Fury in the biggest fight of all time. But I don't know how many fights they've agreed to with Usyk. I think it's a 2-way rematch, so he may not be available.
Eddie, what's a 2-way rematch? What does that mean?
I.e., there's a second fight, whatever happens.
Fine.
Well,
so win, lose or draw, they do it twice.
Eddie,
sorry, Ben. Is that confirmed or that's just rumblings that
you're
hearing?
No, but if you see, Bob Arum says, by the time June is up, Tyson Fury would have made X. And if you know the business, you hear certain things like that and say, well, that means there's a second fight.
Okay.
So,
Eddie,
whether he meant to give that information away or not, I'm not sure.
With Fury fighting Ngannou first, and listen, we all expect Fury to win that fight easily, but if the worst came to the worst and he lost that will surely hold up the heavyweight division again because you couldn't fight Usyk on potentially, what is it, the 23rd?
Darren, with all due respect, I think you got more chance.
Can you make that happen, Eddie?
Darren against you? I mean, look, Ngannou is a monster, right? He's, the UFC world heavyweight champion. If he sees you in the street or he sees you in a cage, it's game over. If you watch him on the pads, it is literally like, I don't want to be disrespectful, but it's, I said the other day that there is absolutely no way in the world that Francis Ngannou could win a Southern area title, right? I don't think he could be, he'd do very well to be any heavyweight.
Well, you said Johnny Fisher, right?
Yeah, but Johnny Fisher is our guy.
Yeah.
Southern area champion. Johnny Fisher against Ngannou is a total mismatch. Fisher would have him out of there in a round. So Tyson's going to play with him. He's going to do what he wants with him. And he can't, if you look at the striking ability on the pads, he can't even knock Tyson Fury. He can't even hurt Tyson Fury in this fight. But listen, it's a great spectacle. It's a great event. You got the UFC world champ, the heavyweight world champ. And listen, fair play to Tyson Fury. He's going to cop, 20 mil or what plus and fight a guy that's never boxed before.
Do you know what, though? It wasn't even about, obviously, him because he's not going to win it. But I'm talking about just injury, for instance, for Tyson Fury, by putting himself at risk in this fight when he's got to fight Usyk next. That's what I'm alluding to more so, because he's never going to lose to him.
No, but I think he's got more chance getting injured in a spar, against a proper boxer. So if you're going to get
paid
paid
health
for it,
spa.
yeah, maybe you could slip down the stairs or something like that. That might be more dangerous. But I think, no, I think look, from a business point of view, if he fights Usyk next, I think from a business point of view, he's played it bang on. Milk the cow a little bit with the Ngannou fight, get paid there, and then have the big one against Usyk. I just hope it happens.
Let me ask you, there's a reason I'm asking this question. Do you think the Tyson Fury Ngannou fight is a joke, a bit of an embarrassment? There's a reason I'm asking.
I mean, I get it. I get the business. I mean, is it competitive? No, not in the slightest.
Here's my question. If you could have set that fight up for Anthony Joshua with a £20 million purse, would you have done it?
I think if he would have accepted it, yeah, quite possibly. I mean, I don't hold it against Fury. I've said before, and I think if he fights him, I think it's a good bit of business, to be honest with you. But, I actually met Francis Ngannou in Vegas to make the fight. And,
To make what fight?
He wanted to make the AJ fight.
Right, and you met up with him?
AJ, and he said, yeah, I met up with him. Great guy. Wanted to fight AJ. And he just said, no. AJ said, I want to try and win the world heavyweight title. So, we could have had that fight. And listen, if AJ would have turned around and said, make the fight, I probably would have done it. I don't hold it against him. I think it's a good bit of business.
Okay. Ed, always a pleasure speaking to you. What are you up to tonight? Anything exciting? What happens in the world of Eddie
No,
Hearn?
we're getting ready we've got a big show this weekend. Josh Warrington against Lee Wood. Well,
yeah, we talked about that.
Featherweight title in Sheffield. Going to be 10,000 in there. It's going to be bouncing. So, big all-British fight.
Okay. Well, listen, good luck with that. We'll be plugging it, of course we will. Thanks for your time.
Cheers,
Have a nice
Eddie.
evening, Ed.
All right, boys, take care.
Thanks. There you go, Eddie Hearn. Of course, the Matchroom chairman. I hope these fights get made. I mean, Joshua against Wilder would be...
That's the one I want to see.
That's the one I want to see as well. And also, if it's on the same bill as Chris Eubank Jr against Conor Benn, that'd be a great night.
Be interesting to see that who would be the headliner.
What, out of Joshua Wilder?
Well, one of them's have to go first.
Yeah, I think what they do is whoever has their name top of the...
I'm talking about if AJ versus whoever's on the same bill as Ben.
It'll be heavyweights. It's always heavyweights, right?
Oh, imagine that.
Yeah, it's always heavyweights. I think so.
talkSPORT Drive. Super opinionated sporting debate. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.